Hello, students. It's Dr. Yu. Today, we're going to talk about presenting with PowerPoint. You may have learned earlier how exactly to put a slide presentation together by learning graphics and text and all that. But now, we're going to focus on how do you actually present with PowerPoint with your body. We're going to learn movement, we're going to learn clickers, and a whole other bunch of aspects on how to look good while you're presenting your PowerPoint presentation. It is one thing to construct an elegant and effective slide deck. It is totally another endeavor to actually present with them. You have to think of your slide presentation as a dance partner. When you decide to use a PowerPoint presentation, you're choosing to no longer operate independently as a speaker. Instead, you're choosing to base at least part, if not all of your presentation on what occurs on the screen. You have added another variable that your presentation depends on. If you get out of sync with your presentation by getting ahead of your slides, or you forget that a certain transition was coming, or you even forget to insert a particular slide, then the mistakes will become quite apparent. And those mistakes hurt your credibility. Just like the difference between solo dancing and partner dancing, you have to practice dancing with your partner to ensure that you two stay in sync and know the steps. Similarly, you need to practice presenting with your PowerPoint just as you would with a dance partner. Creating the PowerPoint is step one. Presenting with the PowerPoint is step two. In this lecture, you'll learn about 4 aspects of presenting with PowerPoint. You'll learn about clickers, movement, gestures, and eye contact. By the end of this lecture, you should know exactly what to do while you're presenting with PowerPoint. And one of the key lessons you'll learn, no matter what you're presenting about, you are the show. First, let's talk about clickers. If you're going to present with PowerPoint, I highly recommend having a clicker. What is a clicker? It is a remote control that allows you to click to the next slide without having to be present at a keyboard. It is easy to see why having one is essential. If you don't have a clicker, then you have 3 options, none of which are good. Your first option is that you can just stand behind the computer the whole time. The problem with this is that you're stuck behind a computer. Remember in our lecture on stage delivery that movement is essential to public speaking? Movement marks territory and can create powerful moments. If you're stuck behind a computer, you take up little space and lose that option. Now, there are some situations where this is the only option. TED speakers, for example, are required to stand on a red circle and the entire time with little space to move. Some lectures and talks decenter the speaker to a lectern with a computer on it. These situations are not ideal, though. If you have the free option of choosing between being in an ideal situation versus an unideal situation, of course, put yourself in the ideal situation. If you don't have a clicker, your second option is that you can move, but run back to the keyboard whenever you need to make a change to your slide. The problem here is the running back and forth, which can be distracting for the audience and a hassle for the speaker. Do not make things hard on yourself when it's completely avoidable. If you don't have a clicker, your third option is to have someone click for you. I've seen this done before. The problem is that the person clicking for you has to know when to click. And often, oh no, don't click. So just put it back. Yeah. Often, that person either clicks too early or they click too late. Thank you. Plus, sometimes you may decide to go backward, spur of the moment. So go backwards. OK, yeah, there you go. And that will require communicating with the clicker. You could, of course, have a click word like next. But if you have a deck of 50 slides with about 2 to 3 animations per slide, you'll be saying next about 150 times throughout the entire presentation. Next, next, next. That will probably get repetitive for both you and the audience. Now that I've reviewed your potential options when you don't have a clicker, I hope you appreciate the positive impact a clicker can have while you present. Essentially, your best option is to have a clicker. Clickers give you the ability to freely move throughout the room and click to the next slide when you're ready. It doesn't require you to train someone to click you through your presentation at the correct time, and it saves your legs from running back and forth. Many clickers also come with a laser pointer that allows you to point to a specific spot, like on a chart or a map. Some clickers even come with a video mute feature that allows your slide deck to go black so your audience can focus on you. Now that you understand why clickers can be useful when presenting, let's talk about your purchasing options. Clickers can range in price. I get no commission for saying this, but the one I use was about $12 on Amazon. I've seen clickers run up to $50, but I don't really know of any significant differences as far as quality. I've used 3 to 4 clickers in the $10 to $12 range, and they've all served me well. As long as the clicker you purchase has a next button, a previous button, and a laser pointer, I am set. I will admit, though, that one student did drop one of my clickers while presenting and broke my laser pointer. But because the clicker was cheap, I just bought another one without having to sue her parents. She was in high school. Now that we thoroughly discussed using clickers, the first aspect of presenting with PowerPoint, we'll move on to the second aspect, which is movement. How do you stand and how do you move while presenting with PowerPoint? Before I get into that, though, you need to learn a very important principle of presenting with PowerPoint. No matter what you're presenting about, no matter how many pictures, videos, charts, or graphs you use, you are the show. I'll say it again, in short form. No matter what you're presenting about, you are the show. You, the speaker, are the show. This principle is important to understand and apply as you plan your presentation. Suppose you just earned tickets to a concert. Let's use a Beyonce concert, just as the example. When you show up to the concert, there's a laser light show, there's dancers, Beyonce's music is playing, but at no point during the concert does Beyonce ever come out. Instead, Beyonce chooses to sing from backstage. Would you be happy with that concert? Probably not. Sure, you're at a Beyonce concert and you get to see the dancers and the singers and the lighting and all that. But you came to see Beyonce, not just hear her sing, but to watch her sing. And similarly, your audience is here to watch you present, not just hear you present. Similarly, when people come to your presentation, they are not just there to look at a slide deck. If that were the case, they could just ask for a copy of your slides and look at them themselves from the comfort of their homes. Instead, they are there to watch you speak. People come to not just hear you speak, but also to watch you speak. Now that we discussed the speaker as the show, when you're presenting with PowerPoint, your delivery technique needs to be spot on. Often, audience members' gaze will shift between looking at the slides and looking at you. If your movement includes shuffling, moving too much, or doing all the other bad habits, then you become a distraction. Because you are the show, you must have good technique. Using PowerPoint is not an excuse to throw good technique out the window. Now that we have reviewed where the speaker should stand when delivering a presentation, we'll now talk about movement. Specifically, we'll answer the questions, should I move? Where do I move? How do I move? The answer to the first question, should I move? Yes. You absolutely should claim real estate wherever you are presenting to increase your presence and charisma. Now, where you move depends on the location of the screen on the stage. It's okay to stay 2D and move to the sides. If you're already stage left, then move further stage left. It's also okay to go 3D as well. Come up the aisles, get closer to the audience. A clicker enables you to do this. Now that you know how to move and stand while delivering your PowerPoint, let's discuss how to walk. Regardless of where you walk, the operative principle is to never turn your back to the audience. You always, if you walk, always orient to keep part of yourself facing towards the audience. If you go 3D, walk backwards when you want to scoot back. Now that we thoroughly discussed using clickers, the first aspect of presenting with PowerPoint, and the second aspect, speaker movement, we'll now focus on speaker gestures. Wherever you walk or stand, you need to make sure that you're using good gestures. All of the principles of gesturing from previous lectures apply here. The main difference is how you hold the clicker. I recommend just holding it with one hand and using the other hand to gesture. What I often see is people holding the clicker like it's a golf club, so holding it low, or like a teddy bear, holding it high and hugging it, both with two hands. The clicker weighs just a few ounces and does not warrant both hands. It's often tempting to also hold the clicker one-handed with a T-Rex arm. As long as the other hand is gesturing and stays down when not in use, then I find this position more acceptable, although having both hands down is ideal. The key is to have one hand free to still make gestures to increase visual impact. Lastly, the final aspect of PowerPoint delivery is, what do you do with your eyes? I know it's a strange question to ask, but it becomes a difference maker in a lot of presentations. Many people are tempted to read off the slides during their presentations. If you constructed your slide deck well enough, though, this shouldn't be an option. But still, many people like to look towards the slide deck anyways, every few seconds instead of the audience. You want your eye contact to maximally be on the audience at all times. And you need to develop a knowledge of your slide deck so that you don't have to constantly glance at it. Today, we've walked through 4 aspects of PowerPoint presenting: clickers, movement, gestures, and eye contact. We have learned the importance of having a clicker for mobility, and that no matter what you're presenting about, you are the show. I guarantee that Beyoncé practices a ton with her dance partners before she goes on tour. So be like Beyoncé and practice dancing with your electronic dance partner before you go on stage.